"You can be honest on a rainy day" is something that Chuu expressed about this album in interviews that really stuck with me while listening to the album. Only Cry in the Rain is a 5-track, new wave synth pop leading project that depicts a surprising narrative about self-introspection and using the gloom of a rainy day to release all of your repressed feelings. The rain, for Chuu as our narrator in this story, seems to represent the feeling of despair over the moments of her youth and how those idealized times seem to feel lost forever. The music video to the title track depicts a group of 3 individuals spending time together throughout Chuu's youth. It seems to be intentionally up for speculation about the kind of relationship Chuu has with both characters. We get a little bit more context with the Back in Town music video that seems to suggest the boy in the title track video is an idol or celebrity of some sorts and isn't actually there. So Chuu and the girl she is with are the only real characters in these memories, which explains why the boy seems so distant in the relationship at times and isn't very involved. But the primary emphasis on the Only Cry in the Rain video seems to be about depicting that these dynamics, the relationship Chuu has with these 2 individuals, is something that she eventually lost as she had to grow up. These people are left behind in the memories of her youth. Chuu is the one who had to move on from this relationship, and after the chaos that was the real world that took over her attention in the years following, she is now in a place of relative calmness in her life that allows her to look back over those bad feelings once again. Only Cry in the Rain is such a strong title for a song and album. At face value, there's a lot of ideas you can pull from this. There's the already existing notion of tears in the rain, which refer to such strong memories or emotions that cause a person to cry are indistinguishable from the millions of rain droplets that pour from the sky. Unless their face reveals it, you wouldn't necessarily be able to tell that someone is crying in the rain. It would be a hard thing to point out and know for sure, so there is a comfort in the safety of being able to be honest with yourself on a rainy day, as Chuu says. The dark clouds and cold rain create an atmosphere that often brings those bad feelings to your peripheral, and as Chuu sees it, maybe there is a time where it's necessary to invite those feelings back in. You need to understand what causes you despair, and for as ultimately lost as the moments of your youth may feel, those blurry memories somehow take a remarkable snapshot of the way you felt back then. It's a visceral feeling, the sadness of remembering something that feels lost to you, whether that be a person or simply just a time in your life you would have preferred to stay the same forever. You don't get to keep the happiness you felt in the same way that we, for some reason, maintain the sad feelings of having lost it. Chuu suggests with this album that there is a time where you can benefit from facing those bad feelings again, to at the very least acknowledge that is what you feel in order to keep going. The subtext of Only Cry in the Rain as the leading sentiment of the album is that the bad feelings can come as often as it rains, and unless you make the decision to metaphorically step outside and embrace those feelings, to stand in the rain and face that darkness, there's always going to be the choice to stay inside. Some people stay inside for their entire lives, never truly confronting what makes them feel sad or afraid of living in the moment. The title track combines all of these ideas in such poignant ways. It takes on the guise of being a slower or gloomy song, but there's an unexpected peppiness to the delivery and production. It's the calmness of rain, but the chaos of thousands of droplets hitting the ground all at once. Ironically, I think of that video of Drew Barrymore filming herself being happy in the rain.
Whenever you can go out into the rain, do not miss the opportunity!
Rainy days are typically associated with being sad. Again, the coldness and the darkness invites those feelings to creep in, but there's nothing intrinsically evil about the fact that it rains. It's a product of nature, the existence we all live in. Chuu emphasizes the value of allowing the gloomy connotations of rain to guide you towards understanding what makes you feel sad. Work to understand those feelings and then be happy. The album, as it is only 5 songs, leaves out a lot of steps towards the path to happiness, but by the end, that seems to be intentionally so, where Chuu closes out the album by saying that there's nothing to apologize for in regards to how you feel, what you did or what you did not do out of sorrow and grief. What matters is a commitment to being amicable with your own sadness. Those feelings come as often as it rains. That will likely never change. But as for what you do when it rains is in your hands. That is something you can work on. So why only cry in the rain? It doesn't seem to be about concealing your tears out of shame, but rather simply just letting a dark and gloomy day coax you into addressing what troubles you, using that as an excuse to fight the bad feelings. And for as inevitable as rain is, I think that's the unspoken idea behind all of this. You cannot be happy without fighting the bad feelings, but to me, the core of this question revolves around the bad feelings themselves. In a roundabout way, the bad feelings are the product of what makes us happy. We feel sad having lost something we once loved, having moved on from a phase in life that was more ideal than what we feel right now. Only Cry in the Rain is inconclusive in some sense. Quote, just be happy can be the surface level lesson to learn here, but not if you consider that both the path to happiness and what makes you feel despair are two sides of the same coin. The feelings unfortunately do not exist without each other. It's not always fun to remember, but the proof that we are humans and alive is that we do indeed feel things. The price of happiness, to feel and give love, to enjoy things and prosper, comes at the cost of reconciling with the fact that you will eventually lose it due to genuine loss or sometimes just change. So again, why only cry in the rain? Metaphorically, there are moments of sunshine and daylight, and there are moments of rain and darkness. You can count on feeling sadness as much as you can count on it to rain again one day. The lesson of this album to me is to be Drew Barrymore in that one video. There's always going to be the option to stay inside where it's comfortable. It takes a lot to embrace the darker moments, especially when you're not really sure how to navigate them by yourself. But taking that step outside in the rain, acknowledging that what you feel is some kind of sadness or despair, is the path to true happiness. We're alive because we are, and we feel because we do. For better and certainly for worse sometimes, it really is that simple. Chuu embraces this moment in her life, this relatively newfound artistic freedom to look introspectively and give us a look on her own relationship with fighting the bad feelings that are all too easy to compartmentalize in the chaos of life. This album is the moment where those feelings are allowed to flourish, opening the compartments of the mind and allowing yourself to feel everything. So, quote, you can be honest on a rainy day, and likely those feelings of sadness won't magically vanish just by simply confronting them, but Chuu suggests that there may be a surprising sense of peace that comes from allowing that sadness to sit with you in the room, rather than restlessly contained inside a box in your closet. It allows you to get to know yourself a little bit better, and as hard as it may be to visualize, is the path towards understanding what makes you both happy and sad. This album rocked my world. I'm so surprised by it and cherish it so much as a genuinely admirable artistic effort from Chuu so early on in her own solo career. This kind of vulnerability is rarely showcased in K-pop to this extent, and I definitely would like to see more of it in the future. From the interviews she's done, from the album production down to the filming of the music video, you can tell that Chuu really gave it her all and embraced the more difficult sides to showing such a complex and nuanced look on the feelings of sadness and loss. It is an honest look into who she is as a person. Chuu has been quite open about how personal each song is to her own experiences. Very excellent EP album. This makes me incredibly excited to see how Chuu grows as an artist in the future. Yeah, thank you for watching this. If you did, this is my own interpretation of the album's sentiments. Definitely let me know what you think. How do you feel about the narrative, the concept, the album itself, and so on. Thanks again for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you next time.